So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paulo Cruz from L'Afrique. We're here today to talk about realizing inclusive growth in integrated settlements. Inclusive growth is economic growth that distributes fairly across society and create opportunities for all. In the years 2000s, global organizations saw that their economic conditions were flowing and that they couldn't get inclusive growth for all. So why do we need this? Well, we need it because poverty is bad for growth. Governments are not getting the fiscal revenues, and they're spending a lot of their revenues on the lower income groups. And to create employment, there is a route to get out of poverty. We believe that by embracing the SDGs, and in particular SDG 11, which is sustainable cities and communities, it's the main way to get to this goal. We also think that SDG 11 is the interface between the other SDGs to reach this goal, which is a fairly uniform, inclusive growth. The cities is also the place where there is a concentration of poverty. There's an opportunity here to provide access to basic services, to impact health and well-being with proper built cities. There is also and with better houses. There's also increased food security. We provide with it possibilities for children to go to school, to universities, or even for vocational training. And with the right infrastructures, there's access to clean water, sanitation, power, and telecoms. So how do we approach this? Well, L'Afrique's mission, first and foremost, is to develop opportunities for employment, education, healthcare, manufacturing, industrialization, logistics, affordable, and lifestyle housing, transportation, and mobility. And we do this by developing smart, efficient, and sustainably built master planned infrastructures, where we combine all of this together. How do we do this? Well, first of all, we need to have a great team, which we have, and we're working hard and passionately on this. Our long-term strategy, the master planning approach, where we have a specific concept that we call the One Life, Live It Well concept. We'll get on that later. Stakeholder management. There are a lot of entities and individuals that are part of the entire process. We have a startup mentality, but we also need to focus on the long run. So we also need to be marathonists at the same time. Our values. Operation starts for us in the design phase. It's important, and we do that with our in-house asset and property management firm. They give input in the design so that they have the right setup for when they need to operate it. And we work on a 3R basis, which is to revolutionize, restart, and repeat every day again. So the One Life, Live It Well concept. Well, it's a master plan approach, a philosophy where in a sustainable and efficient context, we have employment, education, housing, health, leisure, retail, environment, and mobility. Most of the firms focus only on one of those asset classes. We focus in an integrated manner on all of them, and all of them combined provides a unique win-win growth situation for all the stakeholders involved. And that includes not only employers, employees, individuals, but also governments, and of course all the flora and fauna that we have above and underwater. So in terms of master planning, we have what we call therefore a multi-mixed-use master plan with the One Life Live It Well concept. Although it's a master plan, most of them are having a certain theme behind it, which often has to do a lot with the location or of the opportunity that comes with that development. For instance, in our Agbara project, in our Agbara Industrial Park, it was mainly the industrial and logistics side behind it. In Kefi, it's going to be more agricultural focused. So every site has its own theme that's predominant in this. The legal side of things, it's not just only the land acquisition. There are other aspects that needs to be taken into account. So it's not just going to the register and hey, here's my document. Unfortunately, there's a lot of encroaching that needs to be dealt with. There are informal, traditional, and cultural aspects to it. Sometimes you also need to compensate farmers that are already there for quite a while, or even for generations. The zoning in master planning is of extreme importance, and of course also its regulation. Land, soil, and location specifics are important. One of our main focuses is on utilities and accessibilities infrastructure. It needs to be robust, reliable, and in the African context, therefore needs to be redundant. Where our focus is shifting on renewable energies. In terms of funding, there are many challenges, and on the construction side also. So, as mentioned before, the infrastructure in our integrated settlements is of critical importance. They need to be robust. They need to work. For instance, in our Agbara estate, we are fortunate to be located immediately along the Lagos-Badagry, which then follows into the Lagos-Abidjan expressway, where currently it's currently being repaved, by the way. It's also an access where currently a light railway system is being deployed. We are located exactly between two deep sea port locations, and we're in the vicinity of Lagos, which gives us also very good access to the international airport. The infrastructures need to be reliable and robust. We therefore have a focus on power. We are currently implementing a 50 megawatt power plant and a 4 megawatt solar facility, water, gas. We have our own sewers and waste, and the telecoms. So in our approach, we also have a focus on sustainability, where we look on the design side of things, which needs to be efficient. We try to go for a more passive approach, avoid non-reusable waste, use renewable energies in smart grid format, and apply the global industry standards from edge, but also from RICS. Sustainability is also, in our view, has to do with supply, where we try to source as much as possible local materials. therefore reducing the carbon footprint, and have a 24/7 supply of reliable utilities. It's difficult for companies to operate if they don't have a 24/7 power supply, or even a quality power supply that doesn't fluctuate. You can imagine that when a factory is in the middle of a process where the power goes out or fluctuates, all the machines stop, raw material needs to be thrown away, and a lot of man hours are spent. It's not efficient. It's not the right performance that we're seeking, neither for ourselves, neither for our clients, which are both the companies as well as the individuals. There needs to be an efficient use of the resources of water, where we utilize the water that we use or harvest from the rain. Efficient use of energy. So our lights are all LEDs, motion detectors, and have clocks to program when they need to go on and off. We educate the community on how to efficiently use the resources, and of course the technologies are also of great assistance to increase efficiency. So how do we execute all of this? So first of all, we have a steering committee that approves an execution plan, which is rolled out by our development manager. This is of course done with in-house and with outsourced resources, going from architects to engineering to consultants, to surveyors, and contractors, of course. Every phase ends with a decision support pack that goes back to the steering committee for approval. We focus during the execution on health, safety, and environmental, where we have, among others, site waste management plan. We apply industry standards for safety. We use experienced contractors. It doesn't mean that we always use the largest contractors, but sometimes smaller contractors are more flexible in terms of approach, have the right experience, and can often act quicker as they don't have a large and heavy structure behind them. In our execution, we focus on training for the local communities so that they get better opportunities with the construction activities that are going on, but also later when the companies are operating in our sites. We promote employment of the inhabitants from our communities. We maximize local sourcing, and one of the things that for us is very important is timely payments, where we promote credibility and commitment of everyone. It's often difficult when smaller entities or individuals need to wait 3, 4, 5 months, as sometimes occurs in the market. And when there is a reliable landlord or client like us, it's easier to get their trust, to get their commitment on the short and on the long term. So what is affordability in this context of inclusive growth? Well, it's housing which is adequate in quality and location and does not cost so much that it prohibits its occupants from meeting other basic living costs or threatens their enjoyment of basic human rights. That's what the United Nations says. It is saying that basically from your household income, you can spend up to 35% on housing, and that differs from family to family or from household to household. For some, 35% is 1,000. For others, the 35% is 3,000. In our master plan, we have a segregation of housing units but also in terms of different price levels that meets the different income groups, which in our target goes from mid to low. So the affordability has to do with the purchase, with the down payments that you often need to do to get access to housing, to service the loans, but there are also occupational costs, taxes, insurances, rents, maintenance, utility costs, the high costs that you often get in Africa for quality of the utilities with frequent interruptions. But affordability in our context comes with another flex plan where we lower the entrance barrier to get access to decent housing and have the opportunity to grow within the Land Afrique community as you grow as an individual or as a household, meaning that when your income increases, your family size increases, and you need to go from a 1-bedroom to a 2 or to a 3-bedroom. Within our schemes, you have that possibility to grow. So how do we operate? We operate with in-house and outsourced resources, as mentioned, for the development phase, but during the operation, we have our dedicated in-house asset and property management firm, which has a dedicated on-site team also, so it's not just a remote team that sits in an office doing everything via email or by phone. No, we have a team on the ground. We also do our security management. Therefore, there is a big focus also on the maintenance activities and refurbishing of our infrastructure. We do believe, and we're here already for the long run, so there are repavement projects going on. We have invested in a centralized sewage system, in signage, in a 50 megawatt power plant. So there's a lot of ongoing works that need to be dealt with. We believe as a master plan developer that is something that at this stage we cannot outsource this on one side because there are not so many players in the market that can really do this in a professional manner, but also the few ones that are have so high costs that takes away the affordability of our plans. We focus on waste management during our operations. There is a lot of community engagement. During the COVID period, we were involved and we were promoting several activities with the communities surrounding us. We do continuous improvements to enhance our One Life Live It Well concept, where we combine all the different asset classes together, and as mentioned again, our flex plan. In terms of benefits, which are the benefits that you can find with us? Well, the benefits are basically following the SDGs. Therefore, benefit number one is reducing poverty, and this occurs because of the employment opportunities that we create, not only during construction, but also with the companies that are operating and manufacturing within our master plans. Through the employment, we are getting regular incomes for our employees, direct or indirectly, and approaching therefore the zero hunger aim. There's access to healthcare. In our scheme, there's also access to education and vocational training. We promote the equalities between gender, religion, or sexual orientations. We have centralized water supply and sewer systems, and therefore also this SDG is covered. And in terms of power, there is a shift to renewable energies. We're working on a 4 megawatt solar plant at the moment. We're also reducing the cost of energies with LNG powered plants, providing stable, constant, and quality energy to the individuals, to the households, and to the industries that are working and living in our urban settlements. As mentioned, employment opportunities are created, not only doing construction, but also with the companies that are on our sites. We attract industries, innovation hubs, and we are therefore laying out the correspondent reliable and robust infrastructure. We transit from informal sector and we try to therefore reduce the high inequalities. Our master plans, which are sustainably designed, are prepared for the future in a modular way so that we can grow step by step and in a phased manner. We try to educate our employees, our communities, our tenants, our visitors in being responsible in their consumptions. And the fact that we reduce carbon footprints, use renewable energy, we utilize and we harvest water, and the recycling promotes the climate action, which for us is the focus on the long run, not maybe for us, but more for the future generations, for our children and grandchildren and others to come. And this includes not only human life, but also all the life above and below water, as well as all the flora and fauna. And last but not least, an inclusive committed community advocates automatically for peace and justice. There is no necessity to get into other practices to feed your household if you have an income, if there are infrastructures, if there is access to decent housing, infrastructure, education, and health. So this is all nice and well on paper, but how does it look in reality? Well, we have the Akbara estate, which already exists for 4 decades. It's a 454 hectare master plan community where we have the Akbara Industrial Park with industries, with warehousing, logistics, over 1,000 homes as we speak, and we're currently rolling out another 2,000 plus homes. Within the scheme, there are schools, there's plenty of retail, there's the local market. Accessibility is of importance. So we're exactly on the Lagos-Badagry Expressway for the industries. The fact that we lie exactly between 2 deep sea port locations also of importance. Light rail is being deployed, and a new expressway is in the planning, and the Nigerian Minister of Housing Works, Honorable Fashola, has recently started a concession program for these roads. Within our scheme, we have asphalt roads, as mentioned before. Besides the municipality power supply, we're also working on our own 50 megawatt power supply, and we're implementing a 4 megawatt renewable energy plant, which once again is a modular system and will grow larger, and we're managing it through a smart grid format. We have a centralized sewage system, and we're rolling out throughout the entire plan broadband internet for high-speed internet access to the entire community. So how does it look like? Well, this is how the master plan looks like. We've put a few of our tenants in it, not only the international but also local tenants. It's a mix, once again, of housing, employment opportunities, health, schooling, and the infrastructures. As mentioned, there are. I'm going to show a few of the tenants in there. Often we say and see in Africa that projects are announced but do not leave paper or nowadays screens. I'm here showing rapidly our reality down on the ground, where, as mentioned, we are, as we already exist for 4 decades, we have to constantly improve our infrastructure, and so there are repavement works, energy, fiber is getting in, the roads are also getting sidewalks. We maintain all the green inside the scheme. Local manufacturers, the Loxy biscuits is a very well-known one. We have over 10 banks in Agbara. There's a lot of manufacturing and production going on. In terms of housing, it's quite diverse. Our first phase is over 1,000 homes. As mentioned, we're rolling that out into new housing phases. Infrastructure and utilities need to be robust. A few pictures on that. In terms of residents, it needs to combine with work, with schooling. There are several schools on site. Our next housing development, which is the Emerald, has immediately behind it a school. So you can access through the back gate of that gated community directly school. Our expansion, as mentioned, is with Emerald, it's 91 apartments, over 2,000 homes in the Spoutfields, also within the Agbara estate. We're working currently on a business and data center park. We are in discussion with a healthcare provider to build a medical facility, and we're setting up a strip mall to reduce the informality and increase the food security for the communities. As mentioned, the government is repaving the Lagos-Badagry expressway and deploying, as we speak, the light rail connection between these two deep sea locations. Also, starting from the center of our and intersecting with the other expressway is another expressway that goes through the center of our scheme that forms part of the ring road around Lagos. Very briefly, our mixed-use Southfields master plan. It's a 26-hectare piece of land. The Emeralds development, 91 apartments. As mentioned, the government is deploying infrastructure projects. It has been on their plate for quite a while, but with the increased necessities and problems with the bridges on Lagos, on the Lagos side connecting to the islands, there is now also a bigger focus on what's happening on the west side of Lagos, and that is how Land Afrique is realizing inclusive growth within our settlements. We reduce poverty and inequality, and therefore require that we reach the most vulnerable among us, children, the families, the communities that are excluded by poverty geography, education, disability, gender, religion, and other factors. We're here for the long run. Landesvita already exists over 4 decades. We're going to be here at least another 4, and we're doing this once again for the next generations of life, human life, animal life, and for the planet. Thank you for your time. If there are any questions, you can address them via email, and we look forward to your participation in our next projects to realize inclusive growth for all the stakeholders involved. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.